Now tell me a little bit about the weapons here. Would you say they're a little more grounded in sort of reality than maybe we had seen in Lost Planet 2?
Yes, they're kind of more gunpowder based. We have kind of a breadth of weapons that the player can essentially buy from the store and upgrade and do all these things to. They definitely start as more gunpowder based. They're grounded in realism. Jim even has a weapon that is an heirloom weapon that he comes from Earth with, that he brings with him. So we wanted to make sure to keep that kind of connection to his family and everything that this game is about.
Got it. So now here's one of Lost Planet's sort of signature big boss battles.
Yeah.
Tell me about, like, what are we trying to do? You're trying to shoot the weak spots, obviously. That's familiar.
Yeah, that's a big part of the franchise, right? So you've got like these big orange cores, grenade in the mouth, always effective. And this is a creature that, like, it's one of those kind of boss creatures that can be tough on foot, and eventually you'll get to fight it in the rig as well. These are the creatures that, like, people these are the creatures that people really remember. And they're obviously a huge part of our game as well.
Excellent. So is there going to be a multiplayer offering? We're seeing a lot of single player here, of course, but are you guys thinking about multiplayer?
We do have multiplayer. It's a separate mode. We're not really talking about it right now. We'll be giving more information about multiplayer in the coming months.
Got it.
But the main focus of this demo and what we're talking about is this very kind of intense and intimate story of Jim Payton.
Right, and one reason I ask is Lost Planet 2 so tied to 4-player co-op.
Yes.
I mean, that really was the way to play that game. And we're seeing a single-player game here. I mean, and Lost Planet 2 was actually very hard to get through the game on your own. It was a game that definitely demanded, like, co-op partners. So not so here. Looks like you're doing just fine, just with one guy. But so we've killed the giant creature here. So how does thermal energy tie into this? Because that's obviously something that's been a huge part of the series.
Well, in thermal energy for the previous games, they were it was things that you had to have to stay alive, essentially. In our games, we're using thermal energy. It's kind of the core reason why Jim and other miners from the group the colonization attempt, they're here for thermal energy. They believe it's something that can make a problem back at home, this energy crisis, something that they can deal with. One of the things that he's about to do right here is plant a thermal post. There's thermal energy in the ground as well as in the creatures, and thermal energy is something that, like, becomes a currency for our game. As Jim collects things, he gets a cut of it, and then he uses that to buy equipment on the base.
Okay, so it's more of a currency, like you said, less of a sort of resource that you need to keep this meter topped off.
Yes, absolutely.
I got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can see when a thermal post is planted, sometimes there's a huge release of heat and energy.
Oh, interesting.
And
look at that.
and the area around it completely melted.
Oh, interesting.
One of the things about the game is that when Jim gets to the planet, he's told that he's one of the first people to ever be on this planet, aside from the crew that he came with. This kind of shows that that is not the case. So a big part of our story is uncovering the mystery of who was here before you.
Yeah, very interesting. So this looks like some sort of facility here, trapped in the ice. You just melted away the ice. And if I had to take a guess, I'd say this is where the game's going to get a little bit more suspenseful.
It is.
You're going to show off a little bit of the variety that you've been talking about here.
Yeah, we showed a little bit of the fighting in the open space, although it was a foggy environment, but we have kind of big sweeping sunlit vistas as well. But yes, this is part of that kind of that scary experience.
Now, one thing I didn't see was I haven't seen grappling hooks and the like yet. Is that still in the game, or are you treating? Oh, you're okay.
Grappling hooks are still in there. Actually, it happened while we were talking about something else. He used it to get. You can both grapple up and rappel down different areas. It's not used in exactly the same way.
Yeah.
To be a little bit more grounded, we don't have the kind of like firing out and grappling anywhere.
Got it.
But you do still use the grappling hook. It's a big part of it.
Now, the story, is this like sort of indicative of how the story is going to be told in Lost Planet 3? Sort of these comm channels here.
Yeah. Well, this right here is this is covering a loading screen basically.
Okay.
It's you're making games. You're going to have loads in a lot of most of the time. And what we wanted to do is take the opportunity, instead of just having kind of a graphic that's like spinning, using HUD elements and things like that, and be able to tell a little bit of story during the loads as well.
Okay, cool.
That was actually a message back home to his wife, Grace.
Got it.
You'll be getting a lot of extra stuff, a lot of extra things inferred from those too.
And you were saying that this is definitely a story of Jin as the lead character.
Jim, yeah.
And this is very much his story. We're going to learn a lot more about him as a character than we maybe have from some of the prior Lost Planet games.
That's true. Yes. This is very much Jim's story and what he's doing, what he's sacrificing to take care of his family, And we actually have a lot of ties to the other franchise as well. If you get a chance to look at the E3 demo, the full one, there's a lot of other characters that he interacts with back at the base. Even characters that return from the previous franchise. One of the guys that we have there is it's a character named Gale. In our game, he's obviously 25 years younger, and you know, in the other game, he's the father of the main character of Lost Planet 1.
Well, this is cool. This is pretty creepy. This wouldn't look out of place in a Prometheus or something like that. But we're traveling through this abandoned facility of some sort here.
That's correct. This is a new discovery to Jim. Like I said, he didn't know that anything ever existed. He was actually trapped in that area when the ice melted. There was no way to get back that way, so he just had to press on. And you got another creature that wants to eat his face.
Now tell me about these QuickTime events here. You're trying to aim with what, the right analog stick to bash it off?
Yeah, it's we wanted to make sure that when we're doing these kind of moments, our game is still grounded as a shooter. It's all about aiming and pulling the trigger. So we didn't want to make typical QuickTime events where it's just pressing a sequence of buttons. We wanted to make sure that it's called what we call struggle mode. So the creature is on you and the reticle's kind of fighting you. Then you have to move your aiming cursor over him to stab him.
That was cool. So obviously getting more thermal energy from the kill. What all can you spend this thermal energy? I mean, you were kind of hinting at some like weapons and things. I mean, am I gonna be able to like modify my weapons and customize things?
Yes, you'll be able to use it to buy all kinds of different weapons back at the base. You have different weapon upgrades and some other things as well. You can use thermal energy to buy parts that you need to upgrade your rig as well.
Ah, you can upgrade the rig, okay.
Yeah, it's kind of a big, it's like the Old West kind of like oil rush or something like that, or gold rush, right? Where everybody's kind of using these resources for almost bartering.
Yeah. So, I mean, these smaller scale creatures, that's definitely not something we've been seeing in Lost Planet. Or it's certainly not something I think of as being a Lost Planet, but you're making a pretty convincing case here. Some great lighting, too.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. What engine are you guys using for this?
This is UE3.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
The previous games were done on the MT Framework engine, which was it's Capcom's internal stuff. Spark as a developer, we are very familiar with Unreal Tech, and so we got to go ahead to use the Unreal 3 engine.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, using it to great effect here. Obviously fighting our way through this facility, whatever this place is. Kind of interested to know what the story is here.
I'll talk to you about that offline. I don't want to really reveal too much.
Excellent. So what are you most proud of as a game director that you've been able to nail in this game? Maybe a detail or a specific feature?
I think probably the thing that I'm most proud of is the rig combat. We took kind of a big risk whenever we were deciding to take this big thing and do first-person melee. Not a lot of games have done first-person melee exceedingly well. It's a tough thing to do because it doesn't reinforce the kind of scale or depth as well as you sometimes want it to. But I think we've done some really kind of cool things with it. If I had a second thing, it would be the story. Trying to return it into something that you really care about, a character you care about, and wanting to know more as you go through.
Yeah, that's, I mean, in some ways it's very familiar, and I think in other ways it's very different. It's like a kind of a fresh start for the series, I think, in some ways. What made you want to do a prequel, though? That's one question I've got. I mean, why not just pick up where Lost Planet 2 left off?
Well, we wanted to do a prequel because it was that thing about returning to the extreme conditions of the first game, right? And actually being able to go a little bit even more extreme. It was wanting to kind of return to that ice environment and tell a little bit more about how the people got there before anybody knew of Nevik, which is the corporation that's in the other two games. It's kind of this corporation that everybody comes to know as evil in those games. In this, it's just a group of people who's colonizing, right? So it's wanting to tell a little bit of a story that ties to the other games, but it's still also a really good jumping on point if you don't know anything about the other games.
A little bit more of a human story, it looks like here, a little bit more personal, a little more intimate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great stuff. So what do you guys, when can I get my hands on this? When is this game coming out?
The game is due out in early 2013.
Early 2013, appropriate with the wintry theme there, keeping with the ice and snow. Very nice. So I think we're just about out of time.
All right.
Thank you for joining us. Stay tuned. Up next, we're going to have a live demo of a hot title coming to PS3, PS Vita from Drinkbox Studios. That's Guacamelee. We'll be back shortly.